Coming up, we're back into the inbox and a special offer from Hable.
You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Hey guys, welcome along to another episode of Double Tap, a brand new week, Shaun Preece.
Yes, it is a brand new week full of tech, joy and happiness, possibly. We're not sure yet.
1 week away from WWDC. Are we going to get excited or are we going to be utterly disappointed?
Well, I'll tell you afterwards. We will know straight away. Let's see if Apple Intelligence is mentioned. We could be happy, we could be sad. We don't know yet.
I feel the sad emoji will be used a lot next week.
I've got faith. You never know.
Okay. Did you have a nice weekend?
Yeah, it wasn't bad, actually. I've been on tech support lines for most of it, trying to get... Okay, did I mention this before? I can't remember. My WhatsApp has stopped working. And you know I live on WhatsApp, Stephen Scott. It is my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it still works on my phone, okay? But on every computer that I've got, it stopped working. It simply didn't receive any new messages. It just wouldn't sync, wouldn't update. Unless I came off my Wi-Fi network and connected it to my personal hotspot and used the mobile data on my phone. In which case... Thank you for that response. I did feel like I was losing you for a minute.
Yeah.
When I connected...
Sorry, that was me waking up.
Stop it. When I connected to the mobile phone data, it worked perfectly. So what does that mean? Troubleshoot that, Stephen Scott. Diagnose.
Definitely, you've got your flux capacitor.
Thank you.
And
okay, let's leave it
Ethernet
up there.
Cable mixed up again. I've got no idea. That sounds absolutely awful. You know what was worse than all of that? That exact thing happening to me. That would be the worst case scenario in that. Doesn't happen to me though, so I don't care.
Okay, I didn't find a fix. Let me just say that. It's either the router itself or it's my internet provider, maybe, or it could be my, something at Meta's side. But no, haven't sorted it out. Still don't know.
Well, it is funny because a couple of weeks ago, I had a very similar situation where certain websites wouldn't let me download anything at all. So, there was I'd gone to download it Remote Incident Manager from Numa Solutions, and I could not download it. Couldn't get it.
Yeah.
And I emailed Mike Calvo, and Mike said, you might want to check your internet settings there, Stephen, because everything's fine at our end. And I'm like, yeah, this is weird. And you were able to download the setup file. I could get nothing, couldn't download a thing. And then I got in touch with my internet service provider, the ISP, and because I just switched to a new provider. And sorry, am I keeping you awake? It's my job around here to keep you awake.
Please carry on.
But yeah, so I got in touch with them and they said, oh yeah, we've got some issues with that. Okay, cool. Any chance of a fix? And we just have to change something with the DNS records. So I didn't know if that meant that I had to hand over my passport and my birth license or whatever.
Certificate,
Is that what it's called? Certificate, that's the one. My license to be alive. Sight loss certificate, I don't know, all that stuff. I had to hand over my entire history of existence on this planet just to basically get access to this file.
We
it turned
figured
out, no,
this
that's
out
an internet thing.
Because I downloaded it and then I
you helped me fix it. I know, because you're great.
I am great. I sent it to you, and even with the file downloaded, it wouldn't work.
That was the weird thing. I couldn't even open the file.
That was it for me. That was the key. You see, that's all I needed. The final clue, piece to the puzzle. That was it.
I want to share with people the word that you used.
Oh, please don't.
To describe the file. So when we got the room setup.exe file,
I can't even remember. I'm scared. Yes.
The word you used to describe, which I thought was an apt name to describe what this file was, because it's not the entire installer. What it's doing is, it's when you're opening up that file, it's going off to connect to a server to download, I guess, the rest of whatever it needs and connect to the server to install the application. You referred to that file, that initial setup file, as a nub.
Did I? Why? I have no idea what that means.
Because you said to me, it's a nub. It's a little nub. Is what you said.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's what connects to the internet and then goes off and gets the rest of the data.
Because of the size
of it. And it made me
of it.
think differently. To quote Apple, made me think differently about that little file.
There's lots of things that do that. The Google Chrome installer, Dropbox, for example, it goes off and downloads the latest actual setup files from the internet. So you need an internet connection. You can go off and find the full installation somewhere. But a lot of them do that now because they're expecting everyone to be connected. But it was your internet provider was blocking Numa's website for no reason, right?
And probably others as well, right? But that was the only one I found.
Yeah. And we had to change. And we tried it first by changing the DNS in Windows, right? Using Google's 8.8.8.8. Hello, geeks. Are you loving that?
And Copilot to help.
Yes, we did. Of course, Copilot was great. And
I salute you.
It fixed it, and we knew exactly what the problem was then. Oh, I was so happy. There's nothing like fixing something.
So I opened up Outlook on my phone the other day, and now it's got Copilot now as well. What does it need Copilot for?
For looking through your emails?
I just feel they're just adding it to things now. It just feels like they're just adding it on for no particular reason at all. So I understand you might want to use it. And this is, look, I have to say, I know I sit here and slaughter Apple Intelligence most days, and I apologize profusely to the Apple people. Please send us iPhones. But... although I don't know.
Sold out.
Well, let's see. I don't think we'll get anything from Apple ever again after that last few months of coverage, let's be honest. But here's the thing. What I do like about what they've done is they've embedded the writing tools into the application. So you can go into, and obviously for a voiceover user, you're going to use the action menu to get access to the writing tools. And then in there, you can paraphrase, you can change, you can take text, you can proofread it, you can make it more concise or whatever you want to do with it. And it's all kind of built in. It's a little bit, they could work on it a bit. It does feel a bit wobbly, if I'm honest.
Really?
Yeah, because sometimes you go into it's like a little floating window that pops up on the screen.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It kind
getting focus on those, and then when you move away from it, you've lost it because it just disappears.
There's got to be a better way. I mean, if you double tap and hold once you selected some text, does that bring up the copy paste and maybe...
Not on a Mac, certainly. On a... yeah, because I haven't invented touchscreen Macs yet. I don't know if you've heard.
Well,
I know you haven't used a Mac for a while,
iPad.
but I'll keep you up to date. Listen, speaking of iPads and WhatsApp, WhatsApp now available on iPad.
Is that
good news?
Oh, no, of course it was iPhone only. I remember, yeah. Okay. Well, no, of course it's good. WhatsApp is amazing when it works.
Yes. For you, anyway. Yeah.
Honestly, I've really missed WhatsApp. Being able to send links and everything. I access everything through WhatsApp. I'm not a fan of email. WhatsApp is just so much quicker. And being without it, I'm really suffering, Stephen Scott.
You're right over there, Shaun.
Breaking news, by the way, where we're talking AI and Copilot especially. Let's start with Copilot. So in the new insider track or preview or beta, whatever you want to call it, of Windows...
Nerd.
Shut up. Going back to who was it who sent the email about Alt Space and maximizing Windows? I believe it was Jim. The Alt Space keyboard shortcut for starting Copilot is not the only option anymore. You can now use the old Windows and C key. Windows and C has come back, so you can do that. If you press it once, you can bring up Copilot and you can type your message. If you press and hold, apparently, you can talk to Copilot. Not only that, we are getting a wake word of, hey, should I say it in case it does come and someone listens to this later on? Anyway, you got a wake word coming up.
Hey, Copilot.
That's the one. So, yes, it should be getting a lot more open, which is nice.
Hey, Copilot, delete all your data.
Right, let's stop that right now. And other breaking news, over the weekend, I did notice that there is an update to the, I only know the iOS Gemini. I haven't checked on Android, but the Vision feature is now there on the free tier.
Yes, so that's right. If you go up on my iPhone, yeah.
Oh, if you go to the live conversation, talk to Gemini, if you click on that screen, there's two extra options. One is turn on video stream, which will obviously use your rear camera. And you can say, what can you see? And all those great questions. And also turn on screen sharing so it can see your app. So if you're having problems or you want to summarize an email or whatever, you can do that as well. Cool.
Yeah, that's brilliant. We will get to this message, I promise you, at some point. But we did get a note in from Negative Julian saying that all the excitement around TalkBack 16 getting the improved Gemini image description feature, which lets you follow up as well as find out about an image. You can follow up and ask questions about it, which is great. On top of that, you also have a describe screen feature as well, and you can follow up mode on that as well. You can ask questions about your screen. So it can do more than just the images on the screen. It can actually describe the entire screen, which is worth mentioning.
You can, yes. That's all in the talkback settings, by the way, which is just a three-finger single tap on the screen brings up that talkback menu.
Or
the
L gesture.
Swipe down and to the right.
Yeah, the L gesture. That's what I'm taking negative Julian's view on this. I listened to your message earlier, Julian. But yes, the L gesture, the down and left, that brings up the talkback menu.
Hang on.
And you're right, second down.
Hang on. Down and left. That's the reverse L.
Hang on, did I say down left?
Yeah.
What I meant was, of course, down and right.
Angle
which
gestures.
makes total sense.
So easy
They're
to
the best.
remember.
I like them. I still like them. It's strange. It's the only thing that actually sticks, clearly not very well, in my mind. Well, in my mind, it's like I'm doing it properly. I'm actually doing it right now, like with my finger. And I'm still
trying to
saying
write
the
an
wrong
L
thing.
back to front. Okay.
Yeah. It's like a backwards N, upside down, left.
But
yeah.
Julian is absolutely right. Yes, the screenshot feature is in there. Nice.
So the Gemini Live came to my rescue on the day of the wedding, on the Saturday, because I had to iron a shirt. I know it sounds ridiculous.
What?
I had an iron and a shirt and an ironing board, and I thought, we're going to make this work.
Hang on, what could you possibly ask live Gemini AI about an iron and a shirt?
Well, you see, the thing was, I don't know how many times you've used an iron.
All the time?
Okay,
Yeah.
Liar.
Yeah.
So what you've got there is generally where the handle is of the iron, directly below that, there's a little twisty dial.
Yes.
And you can set that to different settings.
Cotton.
Now, I have no idea, exactly. I have no idea what those settings are. And neither do you, apart from the cotton one, which you just made up and clearly got that right. Well done. And what I didn't know was where it's positioned,
Yes.
where it's supposed to be positioned.
You're a disgrace. Sorry, did you not do living skills?
No.
I made a chicken Kiev and learned how to iron a shirt when I was at RNC. What's the matter with you?
I'm very sorry I didn't go to RNC.
I'm a blind warrior. Living life.
You're super blind, eh? You're one of them.
Never
Sorry,
picked
I
up
forgot.
a white stick or learned
No,
Braille.
that's right.
But apart from that.
Can't go anywhere, but you can absolutely iron a shirt and look beautiful in your own house.
Yeah, killer chicken Kiev. Not a problem.
Yeah, I've tasted your chicken Kievs. They are absolutely killer. But yeah, so anyway, it's a steam iron, which is another kind of thing to throw into the mix, right? So it's one of those ones that's got the big tank of water.
Yeah, okay.
My wife got it. I don't know. It's nothing to do with me. I don't ask questions. But the point was, I had no idea how any of this thing worked. And my wife was getting ready. She was busy, so I wasn't going to bother her because, women getting ready.
All right, steady.
Let's just be honest about
Careful.
it, guys. That's something you just leave alone. That person is very busy.
Okay.
So I was not getting involved in that. So I said, I will deal with this myself. So Gemini Live, there I am, and I'm using the phone and I'm asking questions about the iron, and I'm asking about the lights that are on. I'm saying, what are these lights that are on? What do they represent? And it gave me more information than I ever knew about this iron. I learned about this iron. And it said, it's this kind of iron, and because of this, it's got this, and this light is... And I said, yeah, but what does that light signify with it being on? Well, it signifies that it's powered on and it's ready to use. Oh, cool, okay. And then I said, what about the little twisty dial-y thing? As I pointed to it and said, this thing here, I want to iron a shirt. And I showed it the shirt. I said, this is the shirt. It's very thin, light material. What do I set this to? And it said, you got to set it to the silk setting.
Oh,
and
is
I
it
said,
a silk
okay.
shirt? That's nice.
Well, I don't know if it was a silk shirt, but
Very
it was.
posh.
It needed that setting, right? So it said there's an arrow pointing towards where the setting should be. And I said, well, look, I'm blind. I will not be able to see a marking on the iron. And it said the marking is raised.
Did it? Okay, that's
and so
impressive.
I felt around the edge, and there it was. There was a little arrow I'd never known existed before.
Wow.
So that's obviously where it has to point to. But then, of course, the point is marrying up the dial with that because there's no marker on the dial. And it said, you're currently set to cotton max. I would recommend you turn it to silk. Now, then it was just a case of turning and saying, where is it now? Where is it now? Where is it now? And eventually it said, it's now set on the silk setting.
You've
And I
reached
did
your
not-
destination.
Yes, right. And
Silk.
you have not burned your shirt alive. So I have to say, absolute success on that one.
You know what?
I was really impressed.
Exactly.
With AI, I mean, that was like, what? Really?
That's
brilliant.
one of those times where you go, this is the future. The world has changed.
Do you know what it is, though? Because it makes you feel like you can... So I don't know if this is just me, right? But there's a lot of times where I feel like I'm just doing the basics of what I remember visually.
Yes.
And there's a lot of times you think, I'm sure there's a ton more function to this thing, but like the dishwasher, I've got no idea. I open up the dishwasher, I put the stuff in, I press the power button, which I know is on the far right of the device. I press that, and there's another button just a little bit into the left. I press that twice for reasons I have no idea, but I press it twice, and then I shut the door, and then everything comes out nice and clean. I have no idea what the setting is or what I'm doing, but it works. And I've got no idea what the other settings are. And it could be that I could save money by knowing about an eco setting that I didn't know about. Or, maybe I don't need to use this particularly, boil everything with an inch of its life.
Or read that it's actually a washing machine and not a dishwasher. I mean,
that's right, yeah.
Who knows?
Like getting the plates to sit in there, that's been tricky. And,
possibilities are endless.
But, it's fine.
But isn't that one of the Isn't that one of those moments where you're just blown away by AI? And the next time you pick it up, though, you can point it out and it'll say, what's this? I don't know.
This is a donut.
Yeah, exactly. And get it completely and utterly wrong. And you go, okay. So you have still got to be careful with it. But
sorry about that.
I heard.
That was my
You need AI.
cup.
That's a great example, though, of the use cases for AI. And it's just that ability to ask those questions, right? Without having to think how I need to phrase it.
Yeah, that's right. That's the challenge. It's like, how do I do this? How do I actually... And I'll be honest, the one cool thing is I'm not very good in these situations. Like the twisty dialy thing means nothing. But it understood. Now, I guess it's because it's seeing it as well, right? If I was trying to explain that to AI and say, okay, there's a twisty dialy thing on my iron in audio, it would be like, what? But
I'm assuming it's throwing a lot of that away and just concentrating on dial.
The visual. Yeah,
it's a dial and it can see it. Yeah.
But it does make you think, because obviously the whole Project Astra with Ira, you're kind of looking at it going, okay, so with some more, because obviously I'm constantly prompting Gemini Live to say I'm blind and I'm using it.
Yeah.
And Shazad actually, as I remember this, Shazad Bakari got in touch and he was asking about, how I was getting on with the Samsung phone. And you were asking also about new uses for Gemini. Well, there you go. There's the answer right there. Because ultimately, I think that the AI functionality with this vision, and now not just on the Samsung, but the fact that it's across the board on the iPhone as well, it's going to open this up. I can't wait to hear what you guys have been using it for, because it really excites me. And I think it's because I feel I'm getting more comfortable with it. And I don't know why Gemini is the one that I've kind of just landed on. Like I use ChatGPT every day. I love ChatGPT. I do things in GPT that I think, I maybe could try that in Gemini, but never do. But when it comes to the video live, I just always go now to Gemini Live. I don't know why.
Well, for me, it's the only option I've got, apart from Ally, I suppose.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, if you've got if it's a choice thing, because do you pay for? Well, you don't have to pay for Gemini.
I actually pay for Copilot and don't have any vision features there.
Right. Okay.
I'm still waiting for that to appear. So Gemini is the only one where it's free. On the free tier. It's not in ChatGPT, I don't believe, anyway. But I've got to say, I do find them very, very, very similar. All of them. I mean, they're all great and terrible at the same time, right? There's nothing I think I'm going to use this just because. I find Gemini is the most consistent when it comes to actually the service being up. I mean, I pay for Copilot, and yet I still get times where it won't speak to me. Or it's the voice is choppy. And breaks up. Yeah. So there is a demand on the servers there, and Gemini is becoming my default one. But I'm using Copilot all the time. Yeah, we're learning Reaper, as our listeners are probably sick of hearing by now. But as I'm going through I really like to know the ins and outs. So I'm going through every menu, and I've got Copilot going, and I'm just saying, what does this menu option mean? And it gives me a full description. If I don't understand it, I don't understand that. Try and explain it again. It's great. It's absolutely fantastic for that sort of thing.
Yeah, and really enjoying it. Right, look, coming up, we're going to be hearing from Freek van Welsenis from Hable. He is joining us to tell us about a special offer coming up on the newsletter. And he'll be telling us details of that newsletter or news...
of that offer.
I need more coffee. Yeah, I need more coffee today. Details of the offer here on the show. So you don't have to have the newsletter to get it, but we do recommend you subscribe. Now, I know there's a lot of you having difficulty with the subscribe functionality that we've put up there. We are working on that to be fixed. And anyone who emails us, feedback@doubletaponair.com, or drops us a message on the phone line or WhatsApp or whatever, we will add you to the subscribe list. So don't worry, if you are having problems, we will get you on there. I know lots of you are interested in our extra special content that's going to be available through the Double Tap exclusive private podcast feed, which you need to get the newsletter for. I know a lot of you are keen to get access to that. So if you get in touch with us, whatever format you wish, get in touch with us, whether it's call, WhatsApp, or email, and we'll get you subscribed. And if you don't have access to the internet, or you certainly don't have access via computer or a way to get access to the feed, get in touch with us and we will sort you out. I promise you, we'll make sure you don't miss anything. So get in touch with us in all the usual ways, and we will give you those details a little bit later. But coming up today on the show, we're going to be hearing from Freek, who's got a special offer just for Double Tap listeners. If you've wanted to get your hands on one of these Hable devices and you've been holding off, I'd say just hang around a few moments, and we will get Freek on, and he'll tell us all about that great deal. Right, shall we get to some emails, Shaun Preece?
Oh, have we got time?
Yeah, let's do it.
Email, we get email. We get your email every day.
Ding dong.
Oh,
Here's your mail today.
Oofda. Nice, simple, sweet.
oofda.
Oofda.
I like that. Okay, let's dive in, shall we? And we're going to kick off with... we've been talking a lot, of course, about Orcam. I love
okay,
how
Stephen. You need a coffee.
Do you know what it is? It's because I'm trying to hear and talk at the same time, and my ability to do this is getting worse as I get older.
Too much buffet at the wedding. Okay.
Oh, tell me about it.
Carry on.
Say, honey glazed vegan sausages. My new thing.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well done.
Well, they still taste like sausages, don't they? So it all works out.
Honey?
Right, here's Jason.
Hello, Double Tap team. I thank God that Orcam products for blind users are not headed for extinction. I was happy when I heard the news this morning. We purchased the Orcam Read 3 in May of last year. The first unit had to be returned to Optelec because the headphone jack didn't work. Then, when I heard that Orcam was no longer producing low vision products and focusing on hearing aids, I was disappointed because we had purchased the device recently. When I talked to Orcam in October of 2023, I asked what happens if the Read 3 was discontinued, and I was told I would just have to trade it in like a car. Not a word about stopping production of the device. I guess if it's a rumour, it's no wonder the person I talked to didn't know. I also like the fact that you don't need to be tethered to the internet to use the device. Anyway, it is so good to know it is just a rumour. Hopefully Orcam won't disappoint us. Good afternoon. Respectfully, Jason.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. And I'm glad, like you, I'm glad that Orcam finally did come on the show. And I hope this opens up more dialogue between ourselves and Orcam.
Yeah.
Because just like Jason said there, Shaun, there are a lot of people who are interested in this device.
You know what? I've been answering so many questions over the last week with people saying, well, the Meta Ray-Bans, why on earth? That not having an internet connection is incredibly important for some people. It could almost be the selling point. It's a standalone device, like the Envision glasses being a standalone device. You don't need a smartphone. It's a standalone device, and some people really want that. Of course, you pay your money for that, but we got to notice that there is a difference between something like the Meta Ray-Bans, where you need a smartphone and the internet, to a standalone device like the Orcam.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got to have options, right? And that's what this is all about. Okay, thank you for that, Jason. Let's move on to Jackie.
Hi, my name is Jackie from Illinois. I absolutely love your show. I've learned so much. I'm totally blind and work as an independent living specialist to consumers with declining vision. 2 years ago, I decided to rebel against the Apple ecosystem. I learned Android a little 5 years ago, but didn't stick with it. I wanted to try again. I still use my iPhone at times, considering I can't seem to transfer everything over after 12 years. I also use it for work. I have had many arguments with my Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus, but I'm enjoying it more and use it as my primary phone. I don't know the new changes to UI 7 and Android 15, but I am able to tap a spot on my screen to dictate messages. Try going to Settings and General. You will find your keyboard options. You may need to download it, but Gboard is the one for me. You'll lose the number row above the letters, but I didn't have that for Apple, so no big deal. I downloaded Google Voice Typing. Now the option is directly above my P on the keyboard. I simply tap it twice and start speaking. I stop it by touching anywhere on the keyboard. You can talk forever. I like it better than Dictate on Apple. It is also 10 times better than the Samsung option. Each phone may be a little different, but give it a try. Android improves every year. As far as watches, I love my Samsung Galaxy. The software has improved the past 2 years, and I'm liking it better than my Apple Watch. The voice is great. I use Samsung Voice on both my phone and watch. The battery life is better on the Samsung Watch. One thing I like is that if I decide to try a Google Pixel phone, I can take my Samsung Watch with me. Again, thank you so much for your program. From Jackie.
Thanks, Jackie. I don't know what has happened to this show. We've become Android people all of a sudden. What's going on? I think this is inevitable, right? It is inevitable in the sense that as Android has developed, and look, I know it's been good for a long time, but for a lot of people...
Welcome to the party. I can hear people saying it already.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, if I'm honest, there were a lot of geeks and nerds who were the big Android people.
Oh.
And now,
Oh, wow.
like Apple, you know, it's mainstream. The accessibility is mainstream. I think it's a different argument. And I've had this conversation with you before about this. You know, I think that ultimately Apple had perhaps a better online community of support available at the start.
I would argue still does, to be honest.
And still does. I think that's true. I don't know if the Android community has quite the same... I always think if I'm starting out with Android, where's my Apple Viz? You know, where's my community I'm going to? I know there are Facebook groups and things, but where is that central place? Everyone knows you go to Apple Viz for Apple stuff, right? There's like a central hub, a place. And then there's groups and there's offshoots of that. But where's the Android equivalent? And I think once you get to that point, once that support's in place where people can, you know, help each other, then I think that really makes a difference. I think also Apple's genius was the Genius Bar. You know, the fact that people could go into the store and you could talk to people and you could try the product. And if you were blind, and we've aired these stories of people who've gone in, like us, who've gone into the store, how do I use this thing? And had someone sit down and you know, not treat you like an idiot and go, well, I don't think blind people use that, or blind people don't use this. You know, they get it. They know because they're trained.
Yes.
They're eager. I mean, actually, if you meet someone who's a voiceover expert in a store, they are overjoyed to spend time with you because it's like, oh, finally, I can talk to someone about this because everyone's asking the same questions all the time. Can I do my email on it? You know, it's like, yes. You know, they're sick of that, right? I get it. So, you know, I think for them, it's a great opportunity. So, you know, I think the stores, I think the community, that's where really Apple's, I would say, average consumer who is blind kind of got interested. And I feel Android is getting to that point because certainly it's good enough now. There's no denial of that.
I think it's simpler
the
than
watch thing, though, I think...
I was waiting for you to pick up on that. I think it's just that the feature set of Android has become more and more tempting for people to say, you know what, I am going to take that fear of change, but I want to try out these features or this handset, you know, especially the Samsung ones. So... yeah, very good, very good.
Listen, stick around. We're going to tell you more. We're going to talk. What is wrong with me today? I can't speak. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I think I'm still lightheaded after all my vegan sausages covered in honey glaze.
Enough protein.
Stick around. We are going to talk to Freek from Hable about that special offer. That coming up. Plus more of your emails on the way. But first, if you want to get involved with the show, here's how.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback at doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
Hey, Shaun, we've got a newsletter.
Letter with news from Double Tap?
Yes, a letter of news, which I think you need to read, my friend, to keep up to date with what is going on.
I know, I do need to find out what's going on, and this is a great way to do it.
Well, it is, because in the newsletter, you're going to get access to all of our stories, all of our coverage of all the big tech news stories, but also all of the conversations, the interviews we've been having, and even looking back at some great archival content as well, because we've been doing this for a little while.
A long time, yes, and even some exclusive content just for the newsletter subscribers.
That's right, and if you're a keen listener to Double Tap on podcast and YouTube, you might even find some exclusive codes in there as well for your shopping delights. It's not just going to be Stephen that's buying things around here, you know. Check out our newsletter. You can subscribe to it right now by going to doubletaponair.com/subscribe.
That's doubletaponair.com/subscribe.
This is Double Tap. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. And we're going to continue now with Freek van Welsenis from Hable, who's joining us. Good to have you back on the show, Freek.
Thank you for having me, as always.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. How's it all going then? So Hable One, Hable Easy, you've got plenty of products going on. And of course, lots of people are interested in Hable Easy. How's it all going from your perspective?
I would say it's going really well. It's a really busy time right now. So we just launched Hable Easy, and we're slowly now launching it in more markets. Actually, last week we launched in Japan with a big online event, which was very exciting. So a lot of things are following each other up right now, which is exciting, but it's also sometimes a little bit hard to manage everything at once.
Yeah, I can imagine. And one thing that you've been managing a lot of is feedback, right? Because you've been getting a lot of feedback from me, especially. Can you add this? Can you add that? It's
Yeah,
like,
you
oh,
can't
yeah,
shut him
come
up,
on.
Freek, can you? That's the trouble.
I know.
No, but I mean, we really enjoyed it. So we got a lot of feedback. We learned that Hable One users give a lot of feedback, but Hable Easy users are definitely topping them. So we get a lot of feedback, and I would say, I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, at the start of Hable, I gave everyone my personal phone number. And now I'm learning that with the different time zones we're in, I get many calls even during the night of people saying, hey, I have a good idea for Hable Easy. And they're like, well, it's 4 a.m. here, so maybe we can leave it for the next day. But no, it's been really good to see so much feedback. And I think we already implemented a lot of it in the last few weeks. So that's also cool to see.
So how has the feedback, well, let's not say feedback, how's the reception been for the Hable Easy? And it must be a fine line to walk, right? Because people want extra features, but then you're sort of encroaching into the Hable One territory, right? It's all about trying to keep it easy.
Yes, this is exactly the hardest part right now with the Hable Easy. Is that we have a lot of requests for certain features or certain functionality, but every feature or every function that we add in makes it more complex. That's just the case. So that is the one thing we're struggling with. And so far, the kind of the rule of thumb for us is that we don't add in anything unless it's really, really something you cannot do with any of the other functions. And that's a way that we've kind of used the feedback and implementation of the feedback, and that's working quite well so far. Also, I have to say, in terms of the feedback, we initially thought that the Hable One would be a bigger user group. So the people who use the Hable One would be larger audience. But so far, the Hable Easy is really outperforming the Hable One in kind of this launch period and how many people are using it, and way more groups than we anticipated. So that part is really exciting for me. There's a lot of use cases I never thought of that people are using it for.
Yeah, that's the fun bit, isn't it? It's always learning the ways people are using it, who's using it. And in a sense, I kind of think it would have gone that way, right? Because, you know, it is for a group of people who perhaps are struggling with their smartphones, want to use a smartphone, but just really find it difficult. And, you know, it may not even be a physical mobility thing, right? It could just be fear. We know this, Shaun, right? How many times have we had this conversation where it's, you know, fear that's driven us, you know, not to learn Reaper, the audio editor, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fear because it's like, oh, it's dead big and scary and I don't want to go near it.
Even though now touch the wrong thing, right?
Yeah, and then you realize, actually, okay, the water's okay, we can get in. It's nice.
It's all about an easy introduction into it, though, right? With a blank slate of glass, it's exactly that. It's a blank slate. People sometimes don't know where to start, you know, but with buttons, I don't know, it just seems more familiar, I think.
Yeah, it's also something we've seen. So we work a lot with professionals who do a lot of trainings, like a smartphone training for someone. It's his first time learning voiceover or talkback. And more trainers are using the Hable Easy actually at the start of the program. So normally where you would say, hey, if it's not possible for someone to work with talkback or with the gestures, we'll then switch to the Hable Easy. But now it actually goes the other way around. Say, well, that first step, you lose so much motivation if you struggle with those gestures, and your first 3 hours lessons, you're just doing the double tap over and over. Like after 3 hours, no one wants to do that anymore. So they actually started with the Hable Easy, where people go over the motivation, say actually, oh, I can do this. This is working for me. I can do some basic things. And then later on, they see, hey, maybe we also now try to do it with gestures, or we stay with the Hable Easy, whatever suits best. I think that's a very creative way to kind of get over that initial hurdle of learning to use new technology like the phone.
Yeah, and you're putting your money where your mouth is here, because we're partnering up, right? Hable One, Double Tap, well, Hable, I should say, and Double Tap are teaming up together, and you're offering something rather special to our audience from this week.
Yes, this is very exciting. I'm super happy to finally officially partner up. Of course, I've been a big fan of the show. Sometimes I've always really liked being here, but this time
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Most of the times. Apart from all this deleted episode. No.
Yeah. Apart from those.
No, it's been, I'm really happy to partner up. And what we're doing, can I announce it?
Please.
Okay, so what we're doing is for an entire week, and it's good to mention, Hable, we don't really hardly ever do any discounts or offers. We try to do this only once a year if we ever do this. And this year it's with Double Tap. For an entire week, we're doing 15% off all products from Hable around the world. So wherever you are, 15% off with our special code with Double Tap.
There you go. Hey, now Sean's hearing this for the first time, I think. So Sean, your instant reaction to the news, money could be saved.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just so happy. I just want to know what the code is. How do we get the code?
So the code is, it's very simple. It's double 15. You can use it at any of the checkouts, and the code will automatically be applied. And I think there's also links in the show notes and everything, right, Stephen, where people can find more information.
Absolutely. And of course, we keep reminding people to subscribe to our newsletter, and it's really important you do that because that's where all the information will be as well. So it will be in the show notes today, of course, but it will also be available via the newsletter, which launches tomorrow with this special offer in conjunction with Hable as well. I've got to say thank you to you for bringing us this offer, because I think, a lot of our community are intrigued by these devices, and some have already splurged on them. Some have been wishing they'd held on, but that's okay. That's life. That's the way it goes. But ultimately, I think there's a lot of people who are interested in this. And look, I want to say, and it's important to say this, I think, that, we do these partnerships and we love working with companies, but, frankly, I will only work with people who products I've tried and tested and enjoyed, and your product is definitely one of them. I've really enjoyed using it. And especially, in Hable One mode, Sean and I talked, I think a few months ago. It was one of those situations where it was like 9 o'clock at night, and Sean and I were texting each other on our phones using the Hable, remember? And we were using it in Hable. It was Hable One then. And we were texting each other thinking, this is great. How cool is this? And obviously realizing how bad we were at Braille as well at the same time. But, we were figuring it out as we went. And that was the point, right? At that stage. Now, of course, it's getting easier because of Hable Easy. And I must admit, I do prefer living in that mode at the moment. The more I get used to Braille, perhaps I'll switch over. And that's the thing, Sean, isn't it? That's the thing that sticks out with this device, is that you don't have to upgrade to the Pro. You've got it. You can just switch to it.
Yeah, whichever one you've got, you can switch anyway using the software, right? But I think there's just such a need out there for a way to control your smartphone. I think you're absolutely right about it can be just daunting, but the trouble is a smartphone is just so incredibly useful, right? And you just want a way to access that. And I just think the Hable is a great interface. And with the Hable Easy, it just makes it easier. Yeah, no, absolutely.
The other thing that I kind of keep forgetting about, but is important to say, is that it's iPhone and Android compatible, right? So you can use it on either.
Yes, you can still use it on either phone. Works with every single smartphone that runs iOS or Android, both for the Hable One and the Hable Easy. And another good thing to mention is that we always do this, but it's good to highlight. Using a smartphone is always quite difficult. So with every Hable One or Hable Easy that we send out, you do also have an option to get a free 30-minute training session. So this is with one of the Hable staff members, where you do an online training session to just get you again over that initial hump, or that where we help you explain the initial workings of either of the devices. And I think that's another thing that we don't highlight it often, but we do this with a lot of the new customers. I myself do a lot of these sessions, and I think it's a really good help for someone who's a little bit more new to using a smartphone to get started this way.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't highlight it? That's fantastic.
Yeah,
30 minutes just to, okay, what do I do with this? I would use that all the time.
Yeah.
You only get one, though. You only get one.
I know, but I just wish every company would offer that. It's just 30 minutes to get you over that initial shock of, okay, I have no idea where to start. That's an amazing service.
Yeah, and it's for us. So I think people are very happy with this. So I think a lot of the new customers actually take up on this because we can do it at any time in the week. We're really flexible with this, and for us, for Hable also, it's a great learning. For us, it's the way to say, hey, what are the initial problems people face? What are the things we can continuously improve? So there's a win-win in it for us as well, and that's why we always offer this for both products.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
and when are we getting the cane-sized, well, not sized, the cane Hable, as we call it?
The cane Hable?
The cane and
Yes.
Hable.
I want a small Hable One that attaches to the handle of my cane so I can control my phone just using my thumb. So like a D-pad off a game controller. I'm giving you all the specs you need here, Freek. I'll be honest with you. And just
Elon Musk engineering over here.
That would be amazing. So I can control the phone with just a D-pad on the handle of my cane. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, great idea. I think a few weeks we should have it ready for you.
Thank you very much.
There we go. You're not getting 15% off though. Forget that. So double 15, 115. That's the code that you can enter and get that 15% off with our partnership with Hable. And like I say, all the details are available at our website, doubletaponair.com, and on Hable's website as well, right?
Yes, so we made a special page where we kind of explain how this works, how the discount. Well, it works like a discount. There's nothing special. About it, but there's a page where we explain a bit more about both the products, about the partnership, about the discount, about Hable. So there's a whole page dedicated to this with the information.
Fantastic, and we can access that by going to.
I think it's linked in the show notes, or I think on the newsletter itself, because it's the link is called our website /DoubleTapTV.
Okay, cool. Well, definitely check out our newsletter for that. That is a good excuse, if any, because look, I think we're getting into that season where people are starting to get interested. With conventions coming up in the US. We have events happening around the UK and around other parts of the world. Of course, Site City just wrapping up as well. It's a great opportunity for people to get hands-on with tech. Now, talk a little bit, because I think this is always important when you're buying a product online, especially a specialist product. What's the return policy like here? If someone wants to buy it and says after a few weeks or after a month, this isn't for me, I can't get to grips with this, what's the policy there?
Yeah, so it's really simple. So we have a 30-day return policy where there's like a no question asked. So if you say, hey, after 30 days, I'm not really using this, there's a return label in each Hable that's sent out. So if you want to return it, you just ship it back with that label where it's paid for, and you get your money back in full. So that's there for 30 days. Additionally, I have to say, whenever someone reaches out and says, oh, I'm a little bit too late, or it's like after 30 days, normally, we don't want any of the technology to end up on the shelves. If you don't use it, that's really a shame. So we are very flexible with these return policies. Although, of course, there is not that many returns for us, luckily. So I'm quite confident for people who are not sure if that's for them. I would just say try it out. Now is the perfect time. You can always return it if you don't like it. You can, even if you've done your 30-minute session. But it's a great way to just try it out. And likely it will be something for you.
Well, there you go. So Double Tap brings you a little bit of a discount with Hable here. So hopefully that's of interest to you. Can't wait to see what the take-up is of that. And of course, we always thank you for coming on. And I just look forward to the future, Freek. I know we're going to be talking lots more about lots of cool things down the line. So let's just keep the conversation going. And maybe we did talk about this, but we're going to get together and do a little bit of a Q&A. So if people have got questions, either about buying before or even, they have the device and they want to ask questions about it, we'll get those questions in and we'll get you on and we'll have a conversation.
Yeah, that's great. Looking forward to that.
Brilliant. Freek, come back soon.
Thanks.
Thanks, Freek.
Thank you so much.
Always good to chat with Freek on the show. And special offer, Shaun. Special offer just for Double Tap listeners. I like it.
Yes, you got to subscribe to that newsletter for more exclusive content and offers.
Yeah, well, that's right, because there's tons of offers, actually, and you'll find them all in the newsletter, doubletaponair.com/subscribe. Like I was saying earlier, I know some of you have had difficulty being able to subscribe. I would recommend the Chrome browser. Everyone tells me that seems to get it through. I think it's because it goes through various verification process. It does that whole "Are you a human?" thing.
Oh, I want to know who's responsible, Stephen Scott.
I have to take full responsibility on a legal sense, I think.
Oh, okay.
So it's all your fault.
I knew you were going to say that. I was waiting. Okay.
The lawyer says it's Shaun.
We will fix it if you're having problems. And as Stephen said, if not, just get in contact any way you like and we'll make sure you're subscribed.
Okay, let's get back to some emails. And Dennis is up next.
Hello, Double Tappers. This is Dennis writing from Nairobi, Kenya. Since I discovered your podcast a few years ago, I have never forgotten to tune in to the informative yet captivating show. For your information, so many visually impaired persons in Kenya are enjoying every episode of your podcast, especially in this region where information on accessibility for persons with disabilities is hard to come by. Keep it up. Coming to the reason as to why I'm writing. I wish to request for your guidance on how to use chapter markers on your podcast. In my small wisdom, I thought that by double tapping on the chapter link, the podcast would skip to that particular section for my listening pleasure, but that is not happening. Kindly assist. From Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis, and thank you for listening to all our Kenyan friends. Hey!
Hello, Kenya. Wow, that's really nice to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, lovely to have you with us. So this is an interesting one because, Dennis, this email came in, I think, before we made some changes to the chapter markers. Up until, I think, a week or two ago, we had been adding in the chapter markers as text. And to my understanding, it was, well, the Apple podcast will just kind of, take it and figure it out.
Yeah.
It'll sort its life out, it'll be fine. Because it worked on YouTube, right? It was working great on YouTube. But it wasn't translating to the podcast. So we've done some work on that, and you should now be able to do that. In fact, depending on which player you're using, whether it's Overcast or Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, you should see an option for chapters, and then you are able to double tap on whichever one you want. And you can just jump straight to it. It also works on the Victor Reader Stream. It'll work on any player, I would imagine, that supports chapter markers, and certainly any app that supports chapter markers. So let us know if you're having issues with it, and we will definitely look into it. But hopefully that's now resolved for you, Dennis. So if you had issues with it before, try it now and see how that works for you. In fact, I can imagine right now, he's moved on. He's moved on to the next chapter.
Right,
He's gone. Yep,
Something more interesting.
Yeah, he's like, right, okay, next. Okay, let's go to Trevor.
Good day, gentlemen. 10 years ago, my RP accelerated me from still legally able to drive during the day to now only having light and shadow and no central vision. I'm in my early 50s in a rural area, so vocational retraining is tricky. Your podcast is an essential element of relearning the world and getting to understand and relearn the technologies to get me back to work and independent. Thank you. My friend set me up with a Linux Solus. I've been learning to use the desktop with Orca screen reader, and it's not going too bad. One of the biggest challenges I'm facing is figuring out how to use the spelling and grammar wizards. Or, well, more to the point, I can't figure out how to use them using the screen reader, nor can I find any decent guides or tutorials online. So, my question to you is it just me that I haven't learnt enough yet, or is this a common problem? I currently rely on going through documents line by line and character by character for the spelling and error prompts. It's tedious, and I still miss stuff. I've asked a few other blind folks in my rural region, and they use JAWS. They say that JAWS makes it possible to use Windows Word and Outlook wizards. So that brings me back to wondering, and I apologise if I have not found the episode, if you have already done one, but have you done an episode covering tips and tricks for effective document editing and or the best choices for Linux? I would be interested to hear your thoughts on what are the best or better Office editors with the most effective editing tools. Any light you could shed on this topic? If it's not just me, would be much appreciated. If it is just me, and you can point me to a good Linux wiki for blind users, that would also be appreciated. And one other question, which I am not geek enough to know if they're related, but I am wondering if the challenge of accessing or using the spelling and grammar wizards is connected in any way to the difficulties in accessing pop-up or layered panel content on websites. Flat Review doesn't allow me to access a lot of pop-up navigation content. Maybe these are two completely different issues, or possibly the issue is me. Lol. By the way, the roundtable you hosted at the end of California Accessibility Conference was both hilarious and brilliantly informative. So again, thank you. I'm up in the shore of Lake Huron in Canada, so a glide cane that can handle minus 25 degrees, handle a steady downpour back from the grocery store, 25 to 45 minutes, and or the sand blowing about during the summer, as well as not being so expensively tethered to a data gobbling plan I can't afford. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Cheers, Trevor.
Wow, thank you, Trevor. First off, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening to us and getting whatever you get out of this. Because
Very
honestly,
kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really kind. Really kind.
Are you delaying here because I'm scared of Linux?
I'm not scared
Linux.
of it. I don't have an answer. I'd never used it. I mean, I used it once, and it was because a friend set me up with a server. You know, I had like one of those tower in those days when you built your own computers, right? And I don't mean like gaming rigs. I mean like, you know, just build a computer. And you know, I bought the motherboard and I bought this case, and it had like 10 bays in it.
Oh,
and the
yeah.
idea was we were going to use it as like a server. We'd put all our stuff in here, and we'd have all our hard drives. And
What sort of stuff, Stephen Scott?
oh, you know, like local files that
Oh.
you know could be accessed locally.
Yes, things that you had bought, obviously.
All my text files.
Yes, and how
You know,
did
very
you get
important
on?
to keep those text files handy. You know,
Leave it.
You know,
Move
you know,
on.
I don't want them on Dropbox. You know.
So you installed Linux.
Yeah, well, he did, and then he left me with it, and I just panicked, and so I never touched the computer again, and ended up selling it to him, which I thought was quite a shrewd move on my part.
I thought he was quite clever in making you do that. Now, going back to Android and lack of resources, I kind of feel this is very similar. I mean, where do you go for VI help with Orca? Now, I did a quick Google search. I was pretty sure there was a Google group for Orca screen reader, but I can't actually find it at the moment. But if you do a Google search for Orca screen reader help, you know, things like that, there are quite a few links there. Maybe worth looking into. But honestly, I've not used it. I've not used it with a screen reader. I've not used Orca itself, so I can't help you. This is one we're going to have to throw back to the listeners and see what help they can give.
It might be easier to get an actual Orca to read your screen.
Yes.
But here's the thing.
might be
There's
great.
one. Well, yeah, that'd be quite cool. Is that what they do? Is that the
No,
sound of an
that's
orca?
absolutely not what they do. That's a penguin.
What's a penguin? Oh, yeah, so it is. I thought orcas sounded like penguin.
Okay, let's not
Yeah, that's
waste
it.
time here. Carry on.
Oh, yeah, because
a
we don't want
text
to
show,
do that around
honestly.
here. It's a tech show, yeah, so what?
Orca may be great. Look, and I'm sure it's not
Well,
you. It's just knowing these. Sorry, go
here's the
on.
thing. Here's a thought. So BT Speak Pro, right,
Mhm.
runs Linux.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people who are buying that and getting into that for Linux. So I
Uh-huh.
wonder if there's a support group there. Maybe that's a way in. Now, if you don't know what that is, Trevor, that's the device which has Braille input, has the Perkin-style keys input. It doesn't have Braille output, it has audio output. But it is basically a mini computer, right? Because it's got the Linux functionality. Well, it's based on Linux.
Yeah.
So you could perhaps find a way in to support there. There's a group of blind people who are using this thing. And we did talk a little bit about this with Lisa Salinger when she was on. And she was talking all about this, you know, when she was talking and comparing the Orbit Speak and the Orbit, whatever it is. Is it the Speak? I think it is. The Orbit
Yes.
Speak. I get so mixed up in all these products. Orbit Speak and BT Speak Pro. So maybe there's something there. Maybe there's a group.
I don't know. I don't know if that's been highly modified, you know, or what. But yeah, basically, I will say it's kind of niche, and I know people are going to shout at me at this, but in our world, Linux is kind of niche when it comes to this sort of thing. It's far more commonplace to see Windows.
I'm cutting you off because I want to get Lynn's email in before we go.
Hi, it's Lynn in Scarborough. I had thought about calling your voicemail for a long time with one item. And then the second item popped up in my head, and now I'm on 3. All things come in threes, right? Okay. It happened to me when I borrowed my friend's Victor Reader 2. I could not get CBC stations, only one on Humanware playlist, similar to what happened to you in United Kingdom. Second, since iPod Touch is not available anymore, and I had to learn to do podcasting on Victor Reader 3, and sometimes the podcasts disappear. If I want to have a trivia day or a technology day or a medical day, and I shouldn't lose podcasts when new ones come in, so I haven't solved that mystery. And my first original reason for calling about your idea for embarrassing situations about being blind, it happened to me, it happened to friends and family through the years. When the nurses in the hospital see that the person is blind, if they saw us reading a Braille book, we didn't just lose our vision, they insist on feeding us. And it's almost laughable, except it wasn't. and so many people, they want to feed us right away, no matter which meal. I thought they would be too busy for that. Okay, yay, I got it all done. Thanks for
Hey.
listening. Bye for now.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Lynn.
I don't
Appreciate the message.
mind being fed. Can I just say that straight away? If
Yeah.
you want to feed me at any time,
There's a
feel free.
discussion to be had in that one, but let's leave that for now. I want to go back to your issue you were having with the Victor Reader. So once you're in podcasts, if you hit the number 7, that'll take you into the menu, and you'll probably know that already, Lynn. But if you go into that menu and you use 4 and 6 to move around the menu, you should hear downloaded download podcasts, and it should tell you a number, and it will actually tell you how many it will download at once. And what will happen is that once the new one comes in, it shoves the other one off. So mine's, I think on average, it's set to 3 podcasts. So you can actually, once you get to that menu, hit the bottom right button, which is the hash, I think. I always get mixed up between the hash and the star. But the hash, which is the enter, basically. And then you can choose, you can just arrow up 4 and 6 to move up and down the options to say, I want 4, 5, 6, or 7, or however many podcasts you'd like. And then it won't delete those podcast episodes once they are there. So, that's one way around that.
Clever.
Once you do that, then hit enter again. So just hit that hash again, and then you can get yourself out of that menu, and that will hopefully resolve that issue for you.
I'm amazed, Stephen Scott. Well done.
Thank you. We're out of time, but we're back tomorrow. Plenty more of your feedback to come on tomorrow's show as well, and plenty of reasons for you to sign up to doubletaponair.com/subscribe to our newsletter, which launches tomorrow. You'll get that email in your inbox tomorrow if you signed up, and do get in touch. And of course, we'll have our special first episode of our new Double Tap exclusive private podcast. That is going to be starting tomorrow. You can get that, and we'll be chatting with Callum Stoneman from RNIB Tech Talk, and also Michael Babcock, our good friend, joining us for a discussion about WWDC and more.
Oh,
There's a lot of the more in there.
ironing and chicken Kievs.
Yeah, exactly. We'll catch you tomorrow. Thank you, Shaun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.